So I'm going to show an example of a flat earther who blatantly contradicts himself when he replies to one of my comments. And of course, as Renty would say, it's shocking. Now, many of you are probably familiar with this photograph. This is the original video that was mirrored by Sleeping Warrior. And of course, it's an attempt by a flat earther to prove the flat earth by disproving the globe. And of course, Ruhip did a great job of debunking this. And if you haven't seen his video, I'll leave a link in my description. Now, what is different is that Exploring the Plane used a variation of the curve calculator. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to take a look at this. But what this does is it says here to find the height of a far object which is horizontally aligned with a near object. So if you look at the diagram, we have observer A, he's looking at the top of a near object B, and this will calculate the height of the far object so it's in perfect alignment. The calculations are based on the cosine rule, which allow you to calculate the angles and sides of an oblique triangle. So Exploring the Plane correctly shows that on the globe model with no refraction, the top of the mountain should be down somewhere here compared to Blackpool Tower. So I left a comment for Exploring the Plane and I said, nice work, but you forgot to do one very important thing. Do the same calculation for a flat Earth. I did a quick calculation for angular size, and from your viewer location, Blackpool Tower would appear to be about 0.14 degrees in angular size, but Red Screes would be much bigger at 0.34 degrees in angular size. That is 2.4 times bigger than Blackpool Tower. So if the Earth was flat, then the top of Red Scree should be another 1.4 towers higher than Blackpool Tower. Your photo clearly does not support a flat Earth. And Exploring the Plane replied with, as I keep saying in many of my recent videos, including the follow-up video, link in description, we should not be using Euclidean geometry, including notions such as angular size, to prove a flat or curved Earth. Of course, his comment completely contradicts what he says in his description. By using Euclidean geometry, we predict how Blackpool Tower and the Lake District should line up and discover that things are not as they should be. More proof that the curve is a delusion. I would actually say more proof that your line of reasoning is a delusion. Now, the basis of my calculation was the ratio of triangles, or in this case, actually, the tangent ratio. And this has to be one of the simplest of the trigonometric formulas that you can use, certainly much simpler than the cosine rule. So we have three triangles of three different sizes, but they share the exact same angle. And that is because the opposite side compared to the adjacent side is the same ratio. So if you look down here at the bottom, 3 divided by 4, 6 divided by 8, and 9 divided by 12, they all equal 0.75. So when we look at this photograph, we can see that the platform is level with the top of Red Screes. Now, since these are very long distances and there's going to be a very small angle, I can just set this up as two right triangles. So we have triangle A, where the height and the distance is Blackpool Tower, and we have triangle B, where the height and the distance is Red Screes. So if the Earth is flat from the observer's point over here, this should be the same angle, or at least an angle that's very close to each other. Now, the calculation for angular size is quite simple. It would be the arctangent of the object height divided by the distance. So in the case of Blackpool Tower, the calculation is 0.14 degrees. And the calculation for Red Screes is over twice the angular size at 0.34 degrees. So it is quite obvious that this photograph also does not support the flat Earth. But the harder part is finding out exactly how much higher would Red Screes be if the Earth was flat. So you can see there are two shorelines. This one over here is over 50 miles away. Blackpool Tower is 32 miles away. And then there's a landmass that's much closer where the shoreline is 13 miles away. So here I have a drawing of Blackpool Tower, and I'm going to do this two different ways. So in the first one, I tried to scale the upper observation area to what we see in the photograph. Now, since it's 420 feet to the platform up here, this area here would be 0.14 degrees in angular size. Next, I added a ruler that measures in tenths of a degree and scaled it to the 0.14 right here. And in this case, if the Earth was flat, red screes should be way up here somewhere. But let's do the same thing again, and I'm going to scale this drawing much smaller. Let's assume that this is all of the tower that we can see that's visible, and this is the top of this structure down here. So again, this area here would be 0.14 degrees. And when we add a scale ruler, we can clearly see that red screes again would be quite a bit higher than what we see in this photograph. So the reality is that a straight geometric calculation of the globe without refraction explains this photograph much better than the flat Earth does. Now I did reply back and I said, so if you say we should not be using Euclidean geometry, including notions such as angular size, to prove a flat or curved Earth, then why did you use Euclidean geometry, the Earth curve calculator, and make a video claiming your observation was evidence that there was no curvature? And I continued with, what it sounds like is you thought that disproving the globe is proof of a flat Earth. So you never even considered trying to prove that the flat Earth explains this observation better. Of course, once you found out that the flat Earth prediction is even worse than the globe prediction, then suddenly Euclidean geometry is the culprit and it shouldn't be used at all. And of course, I never did get a reply to this comment. Now I want to read the rest of his first comment because this seems like a typical flat Earth word salad. First, we need to establish the fact that we see with Euclidean vision, which although it may seem to roughly hold up in some ways, has never been proved, and many researchers in the last couple of centuries have concluded that indeed we do not see with Euclidean geometry. This means that any argument which goes along the lines that the Earth must be curved because the globe fits Euclidean geometry better is without any basis whatsoever. First, we need to understand visual geometry. Well, I took a look at his channel. He has a number of videos, but I'm just going to go through this one pretty quickly, and the word salad continues. We have been deceived into believing that we possess Euclidean vision, incapable of sensing an infinite non-Euclidean universe. The opposite is true. Our vision is non-Euclidean, and we are experiencing a finite Euclidean reality. This is Gavin, YouTube channel Vortex Puppy. And here's Gavin, mathematician, physicist, and a flat earther. And of course, in this video, you can see that he is using Euclidean geometry. And here's another example where he is using Euclidean geometry to explain why objects disappear from the bottom up due to perspective. And this would be his conclusion here. Actually, in another video, he calls this the big switcheroo. So here we have diagram A on the top from a Euclidean world with spherical eyes. So apparently your spherical eyes would see a flat Earth. To a spherical world with Euclidean eyes, which is on the bottom. So with Euclidean eyes, you would see a globe. Well, I don't know about you, but my eyes are still spherical, but I certainly do not see a flat Earth.